In Neil Gaiman's The Sandman, the Endless stand among the most mysterious and captivating beings in the universe. On the surface, they appear as powerful figures, but each sibling carries hidden traits, ancient rules, and untold stories that make them truly unique. Many of these details are easy to overlook if you've only experienced the series. In this video, we'll dive into the peculiarities, hidden connections, and little-known secrets of every member of the Endless family.
It is I, Destiny of the Endless, who calls you.
Destiny is the oldest of the Endless and one of the earliest beings in existence. Before the first word was ever spoken, Destiny had already traced it into his book. This book of destiny contains the entire history of everything that has ever happened and everything that ever will, with no exaggeration. Every life, from mortals to gods to primordial beings such as Lucifer, is already written within its pages. Even attempts to resist fate are recorded. When Lucifer once tried to burn the book, that event too was already part of destiny. The book is bound in the hide of a creature that never existed, and only destiny can read its shifting script, which sometimes alters itself during cosmic events. The book is also impossibly heavy, and destiny is eternally chained to it, never free of its weight. Although he knows all that is written inside, he is not truly omniscient, since there exists knowledge beyond his access, knowledge reserved only for his sister, Delirium. Destiny is described as taller than all his siblings, casting no shadow and being blind. He rarely shows emotion, and when he does, it is only because the book dictates that he must. He resides in his realm, the Garden of Forking Ways, a vast maze of endlessly diverging paths. Here he continually walks, tethered to the book, rarely leaving this domain. The garden also contains statues of the Endless, which shift ever so slightly to reflect the state of each sibling. His realm is unique in another way. It acts as a central meeting point for all members of the Endless family. Death is the second oldest of the Endless and also the most powerful. Unlike her siblings, she is not bound by the same ancient rules, which emphasizes how essential her function is. Death meets every living being both at their birth and at their death. Her presence is everywhere at once, existing simultaneously across countless places. She was present when the first life emerged, and she will remain until the last living thing dies. Although her role is vast and final, Death's personality defies expectation. She is approachable, warm, and friendly, often acting as a peacemaker among her siblings. Mortals who encounter her at the end of their lives usually see not a frightening reaper, but a calm, reassuring figure who eases their passing. However, she was not always this way. In the earliest ages of existence, she despised her responsibility. During that time, she became cold and distant, even terrifying to behold. At one point, she abandoned her duties entirely, plunging the universe into chaos. Her perspective only shifted after she began choosing to live one day as a mortal, experiencing the full span of a human life in its final hours.
Today's my day off.
This practice, repeated once every century, helped her understand and appreciate her task, leading to the compassionate approach she is known for. Her realm is rarely depicted and has no official name, though it has been described as the light at the end of the tunnel or the sunless lands. Among her most recognizable features is the Ankh pendant she wears, the Egyptian symbol of life. This symbol is tied to her power and can even be used by her siblings to summon her when needed.
I am the King of Dreams.
Dream, also known as Morpheus, is the third oldest of the Endless and the central figure of the Sandman. He rules over all dreams and nightmares, shaping the subconscious experiences of every living being. Dream usually appears as a tall, thin figure with pale skin and dark, wild hair, though, like all the Endless, His appearance changes depending on who perceives him. Mortals most often see him in their sleep, where his presence influences everything they imagine. Unlike his sister Death, Dream is distant, solemn, and highly formal. He takes his duty with absolute seriousness, often prioritizing it above family and personal bonds. While he frequently looks down on humanity, he still seeks companionship with mortals. These relationships rarely end well. His most infamous act of cruelty came when a mortal queen named Nada rejected his love, fearing the consequences of being with an Endless. In response, Dream condemned her to 10,000 years of torment in hell. He was also estranged from his son Orpheus, keeping their relationship cold and fractured until tragedy consumed it. His realm, the Dreaming, is where all living beings go during sleep. It is vast and ever-shifting, populated by dreams, nightmares, and legendary figures such as Cain and Abel, who act as storytellers. The Dreaming also contains a library that holds every story ever dreamed, including those never written or published in the waking world. Dream maintains complete control over this domain, reshaping it at will. Its landscape even reflects his moods, with its weather and colors shifting in response to his emotions. At the center stands his great castle, guarded by mythic beasts such as a griffin, wyvern, and hippogriff. Dream's rule is tested when, in 1916, a cult attempting to trap Death mistakenly captures him instead. He is imprisoned for nearly a century, during which the Dreaming begins to collapse. Nightmares escape into the waking world, including the Corinthian, who becomes a serial killer. Upon his escape, Dream restores order and punishes his captors. This experience deeply changes him, softening some of his coldness and beginning the gradual transformation that defines his story throughout the Sandman.
Sir? Sir?
Destruction. The fourth oldest of the Endless, and also called the Prodigal, is the only one to permanently abandon his responsibilities. Although he represents ruin and decay, his nature is unusually kind, cheerful, and compassionate. This contrast highlights a theme within the Endless. Those tied to darker aspects, like death and destruction, often show the most humanity, while Dream remains distant and cold. In earlier eras, destruction was portrayed in military attire, and his realm, the Fulcrum, was a frozen explosion suspended in time. But in the 18th century, he foresaw that humanity's growing reliance on science would lead to devastating wars. Refusing to oversee such suffering, he left his post, though destruction itself continued without him. In retirement, he turned toward creation, experimenting with poetry, sculpture, and painting, even if he admitted his work was poor. These attempts gave him the insight that every Endless embodies both their essence and its opposite. Destruction is also creation, just as Dream is both dreams and reality, and destiny is both fate and freedom. He remained close to his siblings, especially Delirium and Despair, who depended on his support. His absence later became central in the Brief Lives storyline, when Dream and Delirium searched for him. Although they eventually found him, Destruction chose not to return to his role, continuing instead as a wanderer who follows his own path.
Can I get you anything you desire?
Desire is the fifth of the Endless and is often portrayed as one of the most dangerous. They embody longing in all its forms: love, lust, ambition, obsession, and are described as impossibly beautiful. Unlike their siblings, Desire has no fixed gender or appearance, instead manifesting as whatever form most appeals to the observer. Their golden eyes and flawless features are their most consistent traits, but everything else about their body and presence can change at will. Desire is known for cruelty, manipulation, and a constant need to interfere, especially with their brother Dream. While not an outright villain, they take on the role of a schemer within the family, delighting in petty rivalries and elaborate plots. In one instance, they manipulated events so that Unity Kincaid, a mortal who spent much of her life asleep, or a child. That child later gave rise to a dream vortex, a destructive anomaly in the dreaming. Desire hoped to force Dream into a dilemma: destroy the vortex, which would mean killing family blood, or face the collapse of his realm. Because the Endless are forbidden to spill family blood, Desire's scheme nearly resulted in Dream's downfall. Desire has interfered in Dream's romances as well, sometimes orchestrating his heartbreaks or mocking his failures. This relentless antagonism created one of the most bitter rivalries within the Endless.
I'm sorry. You're here.
Despair is Desire's twin and embodies hopelessness and suffering. Unlike Desire's beauty, she is plain and unsettling, usually depicted as a short, heavy-set woman with gray skin, sharp teeth, and a hooked ring used to cut her own flesh, a symbol of her nature. Her sigil, the ring, represents this endless cycle of pain. The current Despair is not the original. The first incarnation died about 100,000 years ago under mysterious circumstances. While the original actively spread misery, the present Despair is more passive, preferring to witness suffering rather than cause it, though she still takes grim satisfaction in human anguish. She often supports Desire in their feud against Dream, quietly reinforcing her twin schemes. Her realm, the Grey Realm, is barren and oppressive, filled with countless mirrors that reflect mortal despair, and inhabited only by rats. Mortals who gaze into mirrors and feel overwhelmed are said to see Despair's eyes.
Just me. Not anyone else.
Delirium is the youngest of the Endless and the only one who has changed her nature. She was once known as Delight, embodying joy and wonder, but at some unknown point she transformed into Delirium. Not even Destiny knows why this change occurred. In Destiny's gallery, her statue still appears as Delight, a reminder of what she once was. Her appearance is the most unstable among the siblings. Her form constantly shifts, her colors change without warning, and even her shadow does not match her body. One of her defining features is her mismatched eyes, which she can correct if she chooses, though doing so causes her pain. Her speech patterns reflect her chaotic mind. Her words are shown in distorted, uneven lettering, which only briefly stabilizes when she manages to focus. Delirium is whimsical, scattered, and childlike, easily distracted by random details. Yet beneath her fragile exterior lies danger. She reacts harshly to insult or disrespect, often inflicting madness on those who offend her. Though she appears fragile, she holds knowledge even Destiny cannot access. Her realm mirrors her state of mind. It is a chaotic, shifting landscape of colors, shapes, and objects that defy logic or reason. Though it can be entered, it was never meant to be understood by the human mind. She remains the most tragic of the Endless, older than gods and stars, yet forever bound to be the youngest, carrying the sorrow of her transformation from Delight into Delirium. Together, the Endless are neither gods nor mere abstractions, but living embodiments of the forces that shape existence. Each sibling reflects both the burden and the paradox of their role. More than mythic archetypes, they are a family, bound by rivalry and affection alike. And through them, the Sandman explores what it means to live, dream, suffer, and ultimately endure. If you enjoyed this video, also check out Twilight vs. the Vampire Diaries: Who Mastered the Vampire World? Thank you for watching. If you liked it, please subscribe and give the video a thumbs up to support the channel.